welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk about binge eating, and I am going to talk about how I stopped binge eating. As a former binge eater, as a former morbidly obese woman, as a former weight loss failure, all the things. Isn't that an impressive resume? Former binge eater, former weight loss failure, former morbidly obese chick. Like, yeah. Anyway, I struggled hardcore with everything to do with my health. I spent my entire adult life struggling with my weight. I didn't want to. It wasn't for lack of trying. I tried almost every diet under the sun, and I still wound up 288 pounds. I still wound up morbidly obese. And one of my big problems was binge eating. And so today I want to just talk really quickly and really simply on the simple thing I did to stop binge eating. The simple thing I did to put an end to this long line of binge eating that I had. Before we get into that, if you have not joined our growing community here on YouTube, I would love to have you join that. Super simple. Simply hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and that'll alert you every time we upload weight loss tips, health tips. And if anything that we say is helpful to you in any way today, go ahead and smash that like button. That actually helps us out so freaking much here on the channel. It tells YouTube that you found some information in this video helpful and that maybe somebody else will too. So then they recommend it to other people, and that's one of the ways that our channel grows. So anyway, after you do all those things, let's go ahead and talk about binge eating. So first and foremost, let me just say, I was one of those fluffy people that was in super duper denial when I was overweight. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm fluffy, but I don't eat that bad. Like, I used to actually say things like, I eat pretty healthy. I don't eat that bad. I don't have a food addiction. Like, here I was, 288 pounds, actually saying things like, I don't eat that bad. Oh my gosh, like somehow the calories were getting in my body through osmosis. No, the food was getting in my mouth through me shoving my pie hole full of it. So part of the thing with binge eating is I associated binge eating with an eating disorder. Like, I thought people who were either anorexic or bulimic, I think it's more bulimic. Those are the ones, that's typically where people will binge eat. Even I guess anorexia they do too. But so I associated binging with being anorexic or bulimic. And since that wasn't something that I had struggled with, I wasn't a binge eater. And I truly never saw binge eating for what it was, which was eating more than I should be in a sitting, going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, going in the kitchen to get a glass of water and then getting ice cream and potato chips and, a Snickers or whatever heck else was in my house to eat. My husband going to the cigar shop to smoke a cigar and me going and getting naked nachos at Qdoba, a large fry from McDonald's, and a 8-piece chicken nugget from Chick-fil-A and taking it home and eating it on the couch while I was watching, Sunday football or my favorite movie or whatever it was. And so you can't change what you don't know, what you aren't willing to be real that you do. The first step in anything, if you want to change it, is knowing what has to change, knowing where you're starting from. So, and I know this sounds super simple, but weight is kind of like this little secret thing that we don't talk about when we're overweight. People typically fall into one of two categories. Either we make ourselves into the butt of the joke and we talk about it by being the funny person, or we just deny it. We just act as if it doesn't exist. I used to look at other people that were overweight and I would be like, well, yeah, they're a size 22, but I'm a healthier size 22 than them. Like, yes, I know I'm overweight, but I'm healthy, dang it. My blood pressure is 80/20 or 120/80 or however you say that. Like, I don't have diabetes. Like, I'm a healthy 100, I don't just sit on the couch all day. Like, I would always be trying to convince myself to how I was healthier than I really was. And so actually getting to the place, before I could even deal with binge eating, I had to get to the place where I was like, crap, like I've got a problem when it comes to food. I emotionally eat, I binge eat. Which by the way, we did a video last Monday where I talked about emotional eating and 3 steps to help overcome emotional eating. And I'll actually link that in the description box below because it's very practical. It's very helpful. A lot of the videos we do here on the channel are me speaking from experience, not what I read in a book, not what I saw in a video, but what I actually did to overcome years, a decade of this crap. And then not only what I did, but now what I walk my clients through. So it's not just something that worked for me. It's something that worked for me and then also our clients. We're working with 7 people right now that are going through our season 1 of the biggest transformation. And we're working on emotional eating. We're working on binge eating. We're working on secret eating, all these things. And these things we're talking about on the channel are the same things I walk them through. So I say all that to say that in the first 5 weeks, these 7 people lost over 150 pounds. So this stuff works. But it's recognizing and being real with where you're at. Because where you're at with your health doesn't define you. It's just simply where you're starting. And you've got to know where you're starting if you want to get to where you want to go. And so it wasn't until I actually owned the fact that this is unhealthy. I'm a binge eater. Like, nobody needs to go to Qdoba, McDonald's, and Chick-fil-A all for one meal. Like, that's not really healthy eating. And I would love to say that that was a rare thing, but it wasn't. I can remember going to Taco Bell in college and I would get like a 6-pack of tacos and put them in my purse and go upstairs and eat in my room. Eating in secret, those are all things that an average person doesn't do. I would always eat more food when my husband was gone than when he was home. I certainly ate different in front of him than I ate when he wasn't around. I can remember I was the girl that would go to a restaurant and I would order my food and I'd be like, oh, I'm full. And then as soon as we got home, I'd get my to-go box. As soon as we go home, I'd finish the dinner that I took home and I was too full to eat. So I say all that to say, there's no shame in where you're at. The longer you try to deny it or pretend that it's not there, the longer it's going to take for you to get over it. And just because you're starting with a food addiction or you're starting as a binge eater doesn't define you. It's not who you are. Just because you're starting with extra fluff on your body, that's not who you are. It's simply an outward appearance thing that you can change at any point in time. All right. So it's recognizing that, yeah, I'm a binge eater. Like, I have an issue with this. And here's what I'm going to tell you. And I want you to hear me on this. I'm not going to take 40 minutes to tell you how to get over your binge eating. I'm going to take the next 5 because I tried to psychoanalyze this for a decade. And at the end of the day, this is the biggest thing that helped me get over it. This right here is there's 2 things and that's it. Number 1 is balance. So whenever I would try to lose weight, I would go all or nothing. I would be like, that's it, no sugar, no carbs, no this, no that. I'm gonna eat like so clean. And a lot of times in the weight loss industry, in the weight loss world, like if you drink a diet soda, you're going to the weight loss hell. If you have white sugar, you're, oh my gosh, like so bad. If you have, if you eat gluten nowadays, it's like, you eat gluten, you're not gluten free. And so for me, none of those things worked. Whenever I tried to go all or nothing, whenever I tried to go like hardcore and cut out all the sugar, that would always lead to me doing good for a day or 2 or a week or 2. And then I would just fall off the train and I'd go binge. I'd go eat it all. I'd go make up in a day what I had missed out on for weeks. And so for me, the all or nothing thing didn't work. There had to be balance. And so I stopped depriving myself of the cheeseburger. I stopped depriving myself of the chocolate cake. I stopped shaming myself for drinking the diet soda. And I started adapting balance. I started having the mindset of, yes, I can't eat it every day, but I can have balance. Yes, I shouldn't just drink diet soda, but it's okay if I have some. Now, I'm not advocating saying diet soda is amazing for you. I'm not saying that Taco Bell is amazingly, wonderfully healthy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is balance was the biggest thing that helped get me to a healthy weight and that has helped keep me there. Not expecting yourself to be perfect. Listen, I drink soda the first, 8 months of my weight loss journey. It took me 13 months to lose 288 pounds. I drink soda every day diet soda for the first 8 months of that. And I lost 100 pounds in my first 202 days. Now, do I think soda is super healthy? No. Do I think you should drink it all the time? No. Do I think water is probably the most important thing you're putting in your mouth? Yes. But do I think that if you have some diet soda on occasion, you're not going to lose weight or you're going to go to the diet hell? No, I don't. It's all balance. So that was number one, is realizing that I had to have balance. Number two, and this is probably the most important one, you cannot, I cannot, we cannot have the junk in our house. We just can't have it in our house. You've got to get the junk out of your freaking house. You have got to clean the pantry, clean the freezer, clean the refrigerator, clean the cubby, clean the garage pantry, this pantry, the whatever, you got to get rid of it, okay? You have got to get the temptation out of your house. Listen to me. Not move it to another room. None of that. You got to get it out. You got to go give it away, donate it, throw it away, do whatever you got to do, but you've got to get it out of your house. Period. End of story. There are so many times where I would be all excited about losing weight. And, there were times I never cleaned out my pantry. I never cleaned out my refrigerator. And every single time I left those things in my house, I wound up going and binging on them. I wound up saying I wasn't going to eat them. And then there I was a day or two later, an hour or two later, or a week or two later, eating the very things I said I wouldn't eat. Every time. Without fail. Without fail. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I know that there's a good shot that you've done this too. And it wasn't until, and it was actually through talking to somebody who was recovering from being an alcoholic. I was having this conversation with this lady, and I was just asking her some questions about being an alcoholic, and she was walking me through her AA process and how she had to get rid of it. She couldn't be around it and all of that. And eventually she would be able to be around it, but because she had this addiction in the beginning, they can't even be around somebody who's drinking alcohol, because they're recovering from this addiction. And all of a sudden all of a sudden I had never related my binge eating and eating addiction to alcoholism, but all of a sudden I just went, oh, it's the same freaking thing. I have this addiction. I binge eat. I cannot be trusted around ho-hos. I cannot be trusted around cheesecake. I cannot be trusted around nutty bars or mint chocolate chip ice cream. I just can't, because if it's there, it was like a magnet drawing me to it. I would think about it. It would sit in the freezer and go neener, neener, neener. It would taunt me. It would consume my thoughts. But you can't binge on what's not there. You can't binge on what's not there. Now, arguably, yes, you can leave the house and go get it. But you better make it freaking hard on yourself to go get it. You better make it hard. The harder it is, the less you'll do it. When you have all the junk in the house, you are making it so easy on yourself to binge, it's not even funny. And what you're really doing is you're expecting yourself to have self-control you haven't built. You're expecting yourself to have habits that you haven't built. If you struggle with your weight, it's because you have the habits you have overweight habits. When I was 288 pounds, I had morbidly obese habits. So if you're unhealthy, you have unhealthy habits. If you're overweight, you have overweight habits. If you're morbidly obese, you have morbidly obese habits. First we form our habits, then they form us. And one of my habits was binging. One of my habits was all or nothing. I did not have a strong willpower muscle because I hadn't built it yet. I had a habit of eating what I felt like. I had a habit of no self-control. I had a habit of, if it was there, even if I said I wasn't going to, let me go eat it. I can even remember, I can't even believe today I admit these things on camera. I can remember doing things like making a batch of no-bake cookies. This is just one example. Like the peanut butter and the chocolate and the oatmeal. I can remember making a batch of no-bake cookies, and I would eat a quarter of the batch all by myself. And then I would, I always dropped them on tinfoil. Then I would roll the tinfoil up and I would throw it away in the garbage. Then I'd feel guilty because I'm eating all these cookies by myself. And I would roll the tinfoil up and throw it away. I'd go sit down. I'd feel like, part of me was like content because I was full and I had just eaten like thousands of calories in cookies. And then the other part of me was like, Carmen, what did you do? Why'd you do that? Hence why I rolled them up and threw them away. An hour or two later, sometimes the next morning, I would go back into that, not all the time, but there were times, I would go back into that trash can. I would get out that rolled up aluminum foil with the cookies. I would unroll it and eat more. That's a problem. I had no self-control. I had no willpower. I pulled food out of the trash can and ate it. Now I think about that and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then if you would have ever asked me if I had ever told a soul that I did that, I would have been like, heck to the no, I ain't telling nobody that I did this. But I did it because it's who I was. It's not who I am today. But what I learned through that process was if I don't make the cookies, I couldn't have pulled them out of the garbage. I can't binge what's not there. I can't eat what's not there. If I don't have the junk, then I can't eat it. I can't binge on it. And so what I started doing is if I wanted a treat, I would get single servings. I would go buy a serving of cashews. There was a season where I could not be trusted with peanut butter. So if I wanted peanut butter, I would buy the packets of peanut butter. If I wanted trail mix, I would buy a small bit of trail mix. If I wanted ice cream, I would go, get an ice cream cone through McDonald's. I would go to Menchie's and get a serving of frozen yogurt. I would get a serving of what I wanted to eat, and that was it. Yes, was I paying more? Absolutely. But you know what? I was making sure it wasn't in the house so that instead of eating a serving of ice cream, I could eat the whole container of ice cream. And that by far, hear me, has been the biggest secret to stopping binge eating. And through time, because it takes time, I got out of the habit. Through time, I strengthened my willpower muscle. Through time, I changed my taste buds. And I'm so proud to sit here and say that I can't tell you the last time I picked food out of the garbage. It's been a long time. I can't tell you the last time I binge ate. I can't tell you the last time that those struggles that were my struggles are not my struggles today. But I know that there was a morbidly obese chick that lived inside of here for a long time. And I still know today, if it's Monday through Friday and I'm planning on being good, I'm eating on track, I still don't have a ton of junk in my house. A, it's not good for my kids, and I don't need it either. My husband doesn't need it either. It doesn't help any of us live a long, healthy, fulfilled life. It helps us be overweight. But get rid of the junk. If all you have is a bag of carrots in your house, then when you're like, hangry at night, what's the worst you're gonna do? Go kill a bag of carrots? Go down a bag of baby carrots? Oh man, go eat too much celery? Like, nobody ever said, oh gosh, I'm just craving some celery sticks. Like, give me the celery. Nobody. And there's a lot of things I could talk about and go through, but really when we get right down to the nitty gritty, when we get right down to the biggest thing that's going to stand between you overcoming binging and not, is allowing yourself to have the junk in the house. If you don't have it, you can't eat it. Period. End of story. And so anyway, let me know if you have any questions on that. Let me know if there's any follow-ups or anything you'd like us to do on binge eating, because I know when you're going through it and someone makes it sound like la-di-da, just do this and this and this, and it's so simple. Like, I can remember being the binge eater going, yeah, but you're not the one in it. Like, those emotions are like fully like all encompassing when you're in it. I'm going to tell you, things we just walked through are going to make the biggest difference. And it's going to take some time. But as long as you stay on this road, you refuse to quit, and you get rid of the junk completely, and you don't bring it back in, you're going to see that makes a huge difference. And you're going to see yourself start to get on the other side of this. And you're going to see, as you continue down this road of building your willpower muscle, you're going to find that sucker, it's like a muscle. You strengthen it, and the stronger it gets, the easier it gets. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like button before you leave. Check out the videos down below in the description box that we linked, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Have an awesome week.